we rely on our words so much, I just found it so odd that we don't really look into the psyche of communication. And as I shared with people, you can completely change your conversations and your relationships based upon how you present, how you step in, where your heart is in that conversation. People were like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. Are you thinking about what you're doing or you're just blabbing? They're like, they're kind of like little babies. And it doesn't go very well.
Today's guest is my dear friend, Dr. Heather Browne. And I have the pleasure of saying she's a returning guest, a psychotherapist and a mother for 25 years, TEDx speaker, best-selling author of Speaking with the Heart, Transforming Your Relationship and Communication with Compassion and Connection. Dr. Heather helps people recognize the power of communication. It is one of our most important skills that we have, and yet we don't consider our understanding, approach, belief, and therefore miss our possibilities. Living with a paranoid schizophrenia mother gave Dr. Heather a unique and powerful awareness that no one has the same reality, though we believe we do. Utilizing this revolutionary awareness has allowed her to transform communication within self and within all other types of relationships. This is the hidden key to acceptance, and this is her mission to share. Welcome, Dr. Heather.
Thank you so much for having me, Anita. I'm so honored to be back.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure. I had so much fun the first time, and I'm absolutely loving your book. Everything there is about it. So really, let's dive in.
Okay.
So I do have my signature questions. I will still ask you, what is one of the most courageous things you have done now?
Well, I think doing the broadcasts and doing the radio, I'm flying out to New York to do a news show and to do a podcast. And so I'm just running with it. And I'm 60, so part of me says, this is foolish. You should be saving every penny you have toward retirement. And the other part of me says, no, we're just going to go with this and see what happens. And so it feels pretty courageous right now, which is exciting and very naked. I'm doing events and I'm doing a Barnes and Noble book reading recently, or it's going to be coming up. And so just lots of things I've never done before and just showing up and seeing how it goes and sitting down with people and loving on them with where they are and with where I am. So it's like therapy out of the box.
Wow. I'm loving all of that. I can't wait. And so tell me about your new book, Speaking with the Heart, Transforming Your Relationship and Communication with Compassion and Connection. Yes, let's see the cover again. I mean, the book is fantastic. I love the heart.
Thank you. Thank you. So my daughter had a part of this. My beautiful VA Ruby had a part of this, and I had a part of this. And then, of course, my publisher had to create the art again for themselves. But I've been a therapist forever. And what I find, the longer I do it, the more it becomes clear that we have not been taught how to communicate effectively. Baby comes into the world, learns to make sounds. Eventually it turns into words. And there we go. That's kind of all we're taught. And if you think about other things, we go to class for them. We're trained in them. There's experts in them. And since we rely on our words so much, I just found it so odd that we don't really look into the psyche of communication. And as I shared with people, you can completely change your conversations and your relationships based upon how you present, how you step in, where your heart is in that conversation. People were like, wait, what? I'm like, yeah. Are you thinking about what you're doing or you're just blabbing? They're like, they're kind of like little babies. And it doesn't go very well. And so I thought, well, let me really take some time with this because I've got this perfect playground. And so I started to take notes and I started to recognize, well, what's the challenge that keeps coming up again and
Mm.
again and again? And how could we shift this? How can we prevent this from happening? And then step way back. How can we really educate people so that they learn how to communicate in a different way? And so that's what I've done. And through COVID and through all that's gone on with the internet world,
Yeah.
we have lost so much more of the face to
Mm.
face. We've lost so much more of the voice to voice. And we're relying simply on the words. And
Mm.
words define thought,
Mhm.
intention, feeling. It's just a definition, but we rely on it to convey everything.
Mm.
And that is incredibly problematic. And in my opinion, foolish, just foolish.
Wow. So yeah, in your findings, you must have come across many reasons why marriages fail. Can you tell
Yeah.
me more about that?
Sure. I think the biggest one is that we believe the other person doesn't love us. And we go into a marriage or we go into a relationship wanting that person to love us always. And we
Yeah.
want to love them always. I mean, that's why you go into a relationship. You're not sure if it's going to happen, but you hope on that first date, you hope this is it. Let this be it. And in the beginning, if you feel that way, you continue and you continue and continue. And if you become committed, you truly believe that. And then when there's challenges and struggles, you start to doubt it. Now, there's a difference
Mm.
between I'm having a hard time with your actions, I'm having a hard time with your behavior, I'm having a
Mm.
hard time with this interaction, and I don't love you. But we don't do
Mm.
that. We make it the same. And so when you're angry with me or upset with me or don't like something, I think, oh my gosh, you don't love me as much. Whereas you don't like this thing I did. And then
Mm.
as soon as I feel like you don't love me as much, what do? I pull back, I take care of me, or I get defensive and angry and I get in your face. And now my energetic toward you has changed. And maybe you just didn't like something I said, but now I'm treating you differently. I'm questioning you. I'm uncertain. I'm unsure. I don't really want to give you that much. Or I'm needy. I'm pleady. I'm desperate. Or I'm angry and I'm frustrated. And you're thinking, wow, they don't love me as much. And there we
Mm.
go, and there we go, and there we go, and there we go. So, what I used to say to myself when my husband was alive is remember you love him, and remember he really doesn't want to be pissing you off. He's not doing this because he wants you to hate him.
Yeah.
He's just being kind of foolish, or he's
Mm.
forgotten, or he's being selfish. If you choose to remember your partner wants to feel loved and you want to feel
Mm.
loved, it's very different. And then if you do something every day, it will change your relationship. Every single day, a little bit before bed, if you say, is there any place that I have missed you? Is there any place I didn't come through for you?
Mm.
And then you respond and rectify. And then you say, and where did you feel the most loved, the most supported, the most cared for from me? They tell you. And then you say, would you let yourself receive it a little bit more deeply? And then you give more. If you do that every single day, from this moment forward, listener, you will never be able to say you had a day where you didn't love on your partner, you didn't care for your partner, you didn't attend and try to help your relationship. And that will change the way it feels because it'll be an active, growing, transforming relationship. But we don't do that.
And that's the
We don't do
key
that.
there. That is
We
the
do.
key.
Yeah.
Like,
To remember that we all want love. And
mm.
everything that's a problem in this world, every single thing that's a problem in this world would be a little bit less horrible with more love.
Mhm.
So anytime your
Absolutely.
partner's angry with you, anytime your child's angry with you, anytime your boss is angry with you, if you can just extend a little bit more love, a little bit more patience, a little bit more grace. Now, I'm not saying to stay in a relationship where you're being abused. 100%
Mhm.
different. If you're being harmed, get out. But if it's a place where it's tense, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward, if you're aware that the energy isn't working for you, offer more love. Even if it's just for yourself in the situation, because then you will feel more grounded and you will look at the person and say, yeah, This is hard. This is tough. This is a hard one for us. We'll figure it out. But you don't take it in so personally because you've protected yourself with love.
And yes, absolutely. It's who you're being as well.
Yes.
It's owning the ownership and the responsibility. Absolutely. Wow. Definitely going to buy your book.
I'm really proud of it. I've done this for
Mhm.
so long and I love writing. And so I was wondering when it was done, how would I feel about it? And I'm really proud of it. And there's beautiful
Oh.
exercises. I have come up with some just beautiful exercises because I've used to do retreats for couples and
Mhm.
I give homework for couples. I'll step out of the office and give them an intimacy exercise, especially when they're saying, oh, we just haven't been close for a while. And I'm like,
Mhm.
you trust me? And they're like, maybe. It's okay. I'm stepping out of the office. I'll be back in
Mhm.
3 minutes. Let me know when to come back in. Go
Mhm.
ahead. Nothing too frisky in my office, but
Yeah, absolutely.
there's that place of drawing in. We all
Yeah.
know what we're
Yeah.
to do, but
Yes.
it's in the application of it. So
Mhm.
what I've done, instead of saying, here, this is what to do, now go figure it out, I actually say, here, now we're going to do it. Go ahead. Here's your pen and paper. And I'm going to be back in 5 minutes.
Mhm.
And then I come
Mhm.
back in 5 minutes. And
Mhm.
then we process through the book.
Mhm.
What was
Mhm.
hard here? Let's have the two of you
Mhm.
talk about it. What did you learn here? Let's have the two of you talk about it. What do you want going forward here? Let's have the two of you talk about it. So it has a workshop feel. And the people
Mhm.
who've come back to me who know me really well say, I feel like I'm either sitting on your bed, cuddled up with you, having a chit chat, or I feel like I'm in your office and we're having a session. I'm like, perfect. That's what I wanted. I wanted it
Oh,
to actually help people go through the process. So when you're done, you've done it. It's not like, okay, you've read every page. Now go back and start with page one and get to page 244 and then let me know. I want it to be like, oh my gosh, this was awesome. Let's do page 25 again because that was super fun.
I love it. I love the fact that you put exercises in it. That's really
It's
good, like you
important.
say.
It's
Yes.
important. Plus, you want to have
Mm.
fun. And
Mhm.
couples work isn't always fun. And so that's part of my forte is I bring in play, I bring in fairy, I bring in delight, I bring in flirting, I make it playful. We get a little hot and
Mm.
spicy on these pages,
Oh,
and that's important. You want to make certain you're turning each other on.
absolutely. Yes, the chemistry, it's got to be there. You've
Yes,
got to
and there's so
want.
much you can do to cultivate it too. But
Mhm.
absolutely, it's a different relationship if there's chemistry.
Mhm. So that nicely leads on to my next question. Why is infidelity through the roof currently?
Oh gosh, I think for a lot of reasons. I think one
Mhm.
is if you look back 50, 60 years ago, a lot of people didn't have sex until marriage. And so you
Mhm.
finally got to have sex. And so it was this amazing, incredible thing, and you wanted to keep it. Now, people have sex with 20, 30, 40, 50 people. And then when you get married, you get one. And
Yes.
so all of a sudden now, in some people's eyes, it's a
Mm.
limitation. That's
Mhm.
problematic. So that's something that really needs to be explored. It's also where our culture is. We're saying you can have
Okay.
anything you want. There's porn, there's the whole 3X industry. If you look at how women are presented and how women choose to present themselves to the world, it's very sexual. It's very desire me, want me. You know, it's not so much about I'm holding myself sacred and I'm holding myself precious. So we are a very sexualized society.
Mhm.
And then to say you can look, you can come see, you can enjoy, you could touch, but we're not going to really want you to touch, but we're right here, we're offering to touch. It's a massive industry. Sex is a massive industry. So that's
Mhm.
problematic. And I think one of the bigger problems is, or one of the big problems, is in the 1970s, our viewpoint on ourself and relationship shifted dramatically. Sex, love, and
Mhm.
rock and roll changed things dramatically. And we moved into the I get to be happy mode. I'm not saying there's anything that's not beautiful about that. I'm
Mhm.
completely into people figuring out who they are and what they want and integrating.
Mhm.
And at the same time, there's a problem because we have decided our partner is to be our everything. You got to check off all the
Mm.
boxes. You got to make me happy. You got to turn me on. You got to provide for me. You got to be my dream person forever. And we're a human being and
And the
we have
list
our
goes on,
own. I'm sorry?
and the list goes on.
Yes. And there's a place we have to realize
Mhm.
your partner isn't going to be your everything. They can't be. They're not meant to be. They're meant to be your partner. And so it's important that you have friendships or activities or things that
Yes.
you're doing that fuel you and feed you and entice and excite other parts of you. But when you
Mm.
rely on one person to be everything, at some point they do get a little bit homogenized. That's all there is. This
Mhm.
is all you get. You
Mhm.
stop recognizing how beautiful they are, how wonderful they are.
Mm.
You stop thinking about them as, I'm so fortunate to have you. And when you don't recognize how fortunate you are to have that person, you don't treat them or look at them in that way. And then you start
Uh,
looking elsewhere. If you were to wake up every single morning and say, I'm so blessed that you choose me. I'm so blessed that you choose me. And I will do everything in my honor to try and make our relationship the very best I possibly can and to protect us. Different
Definitely.
relationship. But we wake up and we say, I deserve to be happy. You pissed me off once again. And now all of a sudden, oh, she didn't make me the coffee. Oh, he didn't put down the toilet lid. And we're off because we feel our partner is to make our life happy, to turn
Mm.
us on. We've gotten incredibly selfish and we've missed the mark, which is it's the two people together. Yes, I want
Yes.
to turn you on. Yes, I want to please you, but we got to do this together. It's not I sit back and it's kind of like a lap job. I sit back and you fulfill me. That's kind of our culture now.
Oh
Instead of
gosh.
what are we creating? What are we co-creating together? People talk
Mm.
about being great and bad, and I always think, how could you even say that? Like you're great in bed if you're with a partner who you're great with. I've kissed someone where it was horrible, and I've kissed someone where it was phenomenal. I mean, I respond to the person I'm with, of course, but there's a place where, like, unless you connect, it just doesn't work. It doesn't matter how great somebody is. It's botchy. And so we have forgotten the beauty of companioning,
I
which is
like
so
that.
sad because it's so lovely, and since most of us I'm a widow, and most
Mm.
people's biggest fear is to die alone, and, ooh, like, I get that, like, I've been alone now for 9 years. It's a scary
Mm.
thought as I get a little bit older. We come into the think about this, we come into the world through our mother,
Mhm.
from our mother and father, connected into one to make us through our mother into the world. We are of connection.
Yes, definitely.
So to not take care of that, nurture that with
Mm.
someone you might possibly be with for 70, 60, 50 years. I got 24, but some
Mhm.
people are with their partner for 60 years. And I know you start to
For
think,
sure.
well, it just is what it is, but why?
Mm.
That's glorious. I'm never going to take my children for granted. I'm so grateful for them.
Absolutely. And you create yourself every day. You create who you want to be. You create the person you want to be with. You have a
That's the key. That's the
responsibility.
key.
Yeah.
Every day you get to create it. And so if yesterday was
Mhm.
crap, I'd say, I was awful yesterday. I'm so sorry. Today, I want to love you so differently. Today, I want you to love me so differently. So, how do we do this together?
Mm.
How do we got to remember the we in relating.
Definitely. Definitely. And actually goes nicely onto my next question.
Perfect.
Couples can have misunderstandings all the time. Though why do they fight?
Well, sadly, and this is one of the things that I talk about early on in my book, we think somebody else, and this comes off my mom, we think that if we talk a lot, the other person's going to understand us.
Okay.
Maybe. I'll never know.
Yeah.
If I say to you, Anita, the color of that blouse is beautiful. The blue is beautiful. I don't know if you see the same color. I don't know if you say beautiful the way I say beautiful. It's my experience. And
Absolutely.
so if you think about the arguments that we have, there's huge keys in what we say. You don't get me. You don't listen. You're not on my page. You don't have my back. Why do you do this? We ask all these questions and we don't wait for answers. We just keep bashing them, bashing them, bashing them. But if you think about what we're saying, you don't get me and I don't get you. That's the
Mhm.
key. So I'm probably never going to understand you. And when I
Mhm,
realize
mhm,
that, though it feels sad and weird at first, but if you then move into, okay, so I probably really can't ever understand you, but I can try to like understand from your viewpoint.
mhm.
So instead of saying, well, this makes no sense to me, this is stupid, what I say is, huh, I don't get that. Can you share
Okay.
with me why that's important to you? So I
Absolutely.
have curiosity. If something doesn't make sense to me, instead of me discounting it that I am God of all logic in the world, I realize I don't get it. And
Yeah.
so I'll say, help me understand why this is important to you. Or could you share with me why this is so significant? Because I know I'm
Mhm.
missing something. Now, as partners, we tend to do the opposite.
Mm.
I'm missing something, so therefore it means nothing. Instead of I'm missing
Mm.
something, I need something from you. And when you say to your partner, this works beautifully with your child or your boss,
Mhm.
help me understand. Help me understand why this is so important to your heart. Help me understand why this is so important for who you are. You get back gold.
Good.
Gold. And
And
that's
that
why
is
you're
it.
fighting. That's why you're fighting. Because the other person is
Mm.
saying, no, this is important. Please listen to me,
Mm.
see me. You're like, it doesn't matter. This is stupid. I don't care about this. Stop being so needy. And the person saying, when I was 3, my mother
Mm.
said, duh, 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 duh. And so when you say this, it reminds me, there's gold there. You're fighting
Absolutely.
because there's a place of loving each other that's right on the other side. And instead of getting
Mm.
to that side, you just keep bashing it, bashing it, bashing it. And the person's hurt and angry and mad and doesn't let it go because they know it's important to them. But then what do? They shut down from you. Well, I can't go there
Mm.
with you. I can't share this precious part of my heart that I thought maybe you could love me in. And now you're not safe too, just like that person and that person and that person. So yeah, we'll have an okay relationship, and we'll have sex and I'll stay by your side, but you're not going to have my heart.
Mm. And it,
My
gosh, it's
daughter's an
so.
artist. She's an
Mhm.
artist. And so when she would paint, as she does, I would look at her paintings and a lot of my, and I'm like, huh, because a lot, it's abstract. I'm like, huh.
Mhm.
And I didn't know what to say. And so like I'd have an idea of the feel or I'd have an idea of the mood, but
Mm.
I didn't know like how to like say anything about it. So I would say, share with me what you want. Do you want like first impression? Do you want my feel for it? Do you want to know how it looks to me? And she would guide me and we'd kind of cover all of them. And then she would say at the end, Mommy, thank you.
Wow.
She loves showing me her art
Mhm.
because I
And it is.
try to look at it through her eyes. And I would say
Mm.
that, show this to
Mhm.
me through your eyes. When we went to
Mm.
Paris and we're at the Louvre, we're looking at paintings and I'm standing back and they're huge and they're massive. And I'm seeing Sienna veer into this one little spot. And I'm like, what? And then I'm like, show me what you're looking at. Help me see. And she goes, do you see that little line of pink right by the pupil? I'm like, yeah. She goes, look what it does to the blue. I go,
Wow.
oh, wow. So I
That's
can
it.
now sometimes look at art and see things close to the way
Mm.
she sees it. That's the beauty of communication. That's the beauty of connection. I can kind of get an idea of how this might impact you. I could be wrong, but I've got an idea and I care. So I'm going to want to come to conversation a little bit in the way that you connect,
Yes. Absolutely.
not just the way I do. Well, that's stupid. I don't care if there's pink by the eyeball. It shuts it down.
Absolutely. And it's so true everything you're saying. Honestly. It is
If we would look at
communication.
arguing from
Mm,
how beautiful it is, it's so beautiful because it's saying, this is so important. You're right
mm,
there. Like the bomb's about to go off. Like detonate it and get to the important place of love, which is
mm,
missing because you're both so tense and frustrated and angry. I used to say to my kids when they come into my room and they'd be frustrated with something and they'd say, we need to talk. And I'd say, absolutely. Do I have
mm.
permission to share one thing first? They'd always say yes. And I'd say, I just want you to know I love you so,
Absolutely.
so much. And they go, Mom. I'm like, come here, come here, come here. Let me love
Yeah.
on you.
And I
Different
think,
conversation.
yeah, that just dissolves it.
That's the key. The friction is there. We need to dissolve it. And what do? We keep pounding it. You're not getting it. Why are you listening? Instead of, this is hard. Do you just want a
Mm,
hug? Could we just lay down and cuddle for a minute? Like, I don't want to
mhm.
punch you in the face, but I really don't want you to punch me in the face too. Could we maybe love
Oh,
each other for just a second? Yeah, you want to dissolve it. Because then you get back to loving each
absolutely.
other once again. And if you think about your horrible, huge, massive fights, you get
Mhm.
there after
Mhm.
5 hours. You're both sobbing. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. You get there, but it's brutal. And you've said some things that you'll never be able to take back. My thought is,
Mm.
I don't want to go through that hell. Let me just figure out how I can connect with you right now. And then
Yeah.
let's walk through this a little bit more carefully so we're
Mm.
not bashing each other. And you can 100% do that as long, and this is important, as long as you're not somebody who really loves to fight. If
Absolutely.
you love to fight, you're going to fight. And some people do. If you love to debate,
Mhm.
you're going to debate.
Mm.
But for people who don't want to, there's some very specific and proven steps you can take to change it.
Mm.
And that's why I wrote the book, because I just see that we waste so much time, so much energy, and we miss out on loving every day. And we don't need to.
Absolutely.
Ourselves as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I can't even life is so much easier. Communicate. There's no need for it.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. We go through it, we're still gonna get there, but do you really want to take those 5 hours, a day of not speaking to each other, whatever it takes? Come from the heart, come from love. You can sort it out in a heartbeat.
And that's the key. It's
Mm.
coming with speaking with the heart. It's coming from
Mhm.
love. And if you
Mm.
know you're in a situation where you know you are not loving the other person, pull back.
Yeah.
Just tell them, I'm
Mm.
not in the right place to have this conversation because I am pissed off right now. Give me 5 minutes. Let me come
Mhm.
back when I can actually care about you. I've been doing this for so long now that I can stop in a
Mhm.
conversation and I'll say,
Mhm.
"Give me a second. I have to close my eyes because I need to not look at the other person." I'll do it in session if I need to, like, sort out my thought. I definitely do
Mhm.
it with my kids. And I'll say, "Give me a moment," and I'll focus in, and then I'll separate, like, what's going on in my head and what
Mhm.
it is that I'm really wanting the person to experience with me. And then I always come back and I say, thank you for giving me that moment. I really appreciate that. I'd like to change how it feels in this conversation because
Mhm.
I feel like I've been frustrating and I want this to go well. And then I'll say, what am I missing? Where am I off? Because I know I'm not connecting with you in the way that I can. I
Mhm.
feel energy shifts very strongly. And it's just part of being a therapist for so long. And so I'll
Mhm.
sit there and I'll say, oh, would you share with me what just happened? And my clients, like, they'll look at me and I'm like, I felt a shift. You don't have to. You don't have to. But
Mm.
if you will, I'm going to be able to support you even more. And they look at me and they're like, how do you know? I'm like, well, I feel it. And it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
If you do that with your partner, when you feel them getting
Mm.
tense, instead of saying, what was that look? Oh, so now you're giving me attitude? You don't need to roll your eyes at me. Go the opposite. Oh, what happened
Absolutely.
there? Whoa, you
I
rolled
just
your
love
eyes.
it.
Oh my gosh, you must be like really pissed off at me right now. What's going on? You connect again. The key is in the
Mm.
connection.
Mm.
And the key is bringing connection with compassion. Because
Mhm.
otherwise you can try to connect with a knife, but that's not the best way to do it.
And the sharp side, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah.
What resources do you recommend, tools, daily tips to anyone that wants to transform their relationship with communication and passion and connection?
Well, first to really state that to yourself. You know what? I want to transform my relationship.
Mm.
I want to transform my communication. Okay. So what
Mhm.
steps am I going to take to do that? Now, obviously, I'm going to say, of
Yeah,
course I
get the
am.
book.
I have to. Have to. Speaking with the Heart by Dr. Heather Brown. But if that's not it, look into books that are available. There
Mhm.
are listen to podcasts. Listen to Anita. She has so many on communication and connection
Thank
and
you.
intimacy and growth mindset. So
Mhm.
listen to the resources that are out there. Listen to
Mhm.
people. Listen to conversations and listen to what works and what doesn't. Explore energy, because as you explore energy, you'll start to realize what draws in and what draws out.
Mhm.
There's retreats, there's workshops. Oh my gosh, there's so much. The key
Mhm.
is to finding where and who you think has strong wisdom. And in this day and age, that's really important because
Yeah.
there's a lot, like a lot of us are talking,
Mhm.
but it's you finding the person that resonates with you. And
Mhm.
you know how it
Mhm.
is because they'll say something, you go, oh, yes, that's someone who's kind of like minded,
Mhm.
and that person
Mhm.
will benefit you on your journey, at least at that point.
Mhm.
Like there's certain people that I love listening to: Ram Dass, Alan
Mhm.
Watts, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Esther Perel. Like there's certain people that I find myself gravitating toward because they give me something that they can say it better than I can,
Yeah.
or they have a little bit of a better understanding of it. So I like can
Mhm.
wrestle with it with them. So look for those people. And as you just open yourself up, just say like, universe, God, show me what it is that I am to learn. You
Mhm.
will. And every day I would say,
Yeah.
let me become more than I have been. Let me be more aware of
Mhm.
what I have been. Help me learn how to love more than I have loved. And
Wow.
then ask yourself throughout the day, how am I doing at loving?
Mhm.
How am I doing loving others? How am I doing loving me? And what's so
Absolutely.
funny or beautiful is you move out of that viewpoint of there's only so much love and I shouldn't
Mhm.
share and I shouldn't give to, oh my gosh, it's endless. And as you
Absolutely.
bring more, you cultivate more, you have more. So
Mhm.
just keep on
Mhm.
sharing it, sharing it, sharing. People tell
Mhm.
me like you're like a fairy. I'm like, I hope so. I hope I'm just like, here's
Yeah.
fairy dust, here's fairy dust, there's plenty. I can create more. The world so wants us to love ourselves.
Yeah,
God so wants us to
definitely.
love ourselves. And we so want to be loved. So
Yeah.
ask yourself, am I loving myself well? Am I loving you well? And ask your partner, ask people in your
Mhm.
life, do I love you well? Do you feel cared for by me?
Definitely. I mean, you've given us so many tools, daily tips, and steps. What would you say is the most important takeaway?
Loving yourself. Loving
Absolutely.
yourself and loving this
Yeah.
journey and
Mhm.
and knowing it's all for the fun of it and it's all for
Mhm.
the growth of it and it's going to be both. And to have fun, there's work.
Yes.
Because otherwise fun isn't fun. And so there's
No.
going to be both. And
Mhm.
life is hard. So it's really important to remember to have fun as much as you can and to enjoy it. I am in no way say being Pollyanna. I am not. You got to deal with what you got to
Mhm.
deal with, and life can be
Mhm.
hard. But there's also places with saying, how can I make this a little less hard for me? Well, as
Mhm.
I'm sobbing, I can have a super soft blanket, or I can listen to pretty music, or I can light a candle, I can have a cup of
Absolutely.
tea.
Yes.
So love on you. Remember,
Mhm.
this is your life.
Yeah.
This is the only
Self.
one you're
Yeah.
ever going to have as you. And it's an incredible gift if you decide for it to be. And then you can treasure it and then you'll enjoy it because it kind of goes fast.
Yeah. Can't agree more. And absolutely, self care is so important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm excited to ask you. You recently did your TEDx talk. Tell me all about that.
Oh, it was so fun. So it was
Yeah.
one of those things where when I decided I'm just going to, at 58, start reaching out larger than doing the one-on-one. And I started to
Mhm.
do podcasts and I created an online
Mhm.
program and someone said, you should do a TEDx. And I thought,
Mhm.
okay. So
Yeah,
I
why not?
applied. That was my thought. Why not? Let's see.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
because I mean, I know I've got a lot of wisdom, and I
mhm,
and I know that people like me. So I thought, well, I can
mhm,
do this. And so tried out for a ton of them, and I was chosen. And it is a really important process. With
mm.
mine, we had 5 months of practice. That's a lot. And so, gosh, like we loved on each other and we cared for each other and we helped
Mhm.
each other with our talks and we gave feedback. And then it's such a different experience than this because I'm really
Yes, I
comfortable
can
just being
imagine.
on the
Mm,
cuff. But when you
mm,
have to memorize something and then you
mm.
stand up and you're like, now I will present to you. It just feels weird. And so
Mm.
I had to keep working with it until I felt like I was actually just
Mhm,
sharing and sharing
mhm.
my heart once again and just doing it in front of a large group. But it was fascinating and I had a really interesting awareness about myself in doing it. You have a lot of doubts, you have a lot of fears. And as I stepped onto the red dot, my shoe went underneath it. And I pulled my foot back and then I went and stepped on the red dot again. And I tried to not hold to that thought long because I needed to give my
Yeah,
TEDx.
exactly.
But afterwards, I thought about it and I thought, oh, Heather, I'm so proud of you. Because 10
Mm,
years before, maybe even 5,
mhm,
I would have gotten uncomfortable and I would have felt self conscious of that.
mhm,
Oh
mhm,
my God, like you
mhm.
didn't even step on the red dot. I can't believe this happened to you. They're thinking you're an idiot. Like all of that would have happened. And I
Mm.
just made it, oh well. And and in my head, I said, oh no, like you're stepping on that dot.
Yeah,
And so I made it
absolutely.
really, and so when I stepped forward, I mean, I went and then I went and made it really intentional, which for me was the point of the TEDx.
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
I'm here
Yeah.
and I'm going to share what my heart has to share. And I
Mm,
hope it blesses you. And if it doesn't, thank you so much for this time. I really
absolutely.
appreciate it. And I send you love. Backstage, I was spending a lot of time in meditation and prayer and just
Mhm.
asking God and Jesus and Mother Mary and Hathor and Kuan Yin and like all the
Oh,
beautiful energies to be there and be present and to come forth. And so it just felt really of love. It was an amazing
excellent.
experience. Yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. So where can the listeners get your book, find you online, listen to your TEDx, what's your website, Dr. Heather?
www.drheatherbrowne.com. And it's kind of the hub of Heather. So my TEDx is on there. Obviously, the links
Mhm.
to my book are on there. Freebies, I have lots of freebies, 3 ways to step out of a fight and self-love and all sorts of freebies. My on my blog and my newsletter, how to work with me, everything's on there. I've got workshops. So, and
Oh,
also
excellent.
listeners, just any questions. I'm always eager to hear something.
Mhm.
If I can't help you personally, I'll try to guide you in a way, if I
Mhm.
know what it is, to guide you in a direction that you can get it. I'd love to hear back. I'd love to have you guys be blessed with my book and keep me posted.
Yeah, and all your links will be in the show notes. So please do go
Thank you.
ahead and connect, get the book, have a better relationship. Why wouldn't
Yeah.
you want that? So thank you for sharing your courageous journey and your deep, insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many others, Dr. Heather Browne.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. And listeners, thank you so much for your time. I do greatly appreciate it. Be blessed with the beauty of today and let today be a place where you love on yourself and love on others a little bit more. And thank the world for all it gives to you and all it does for you and for this moment of being here and alive on this planet. And then send a little blessing to Anita for all that she does and how she loves all of us so dearly and so deeply. Keep her in your prayers and her family in your prayers. That's what I ask. You're beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we are all about create the courage to be fearless. What is your definition of courage?
Allowing yourself to be your true self, no matter what, and letting that be your truth and holding on to the internal courage of what it takes to be you, regardless. That's tough. That's courage.